Okay, everybody. Hi, my name is Sally Roper, and I'm coming to you from Ocharizo, Jamaica. And pardon me while I just get my phone set up. All right, this is third time's a charm. This is the third time I've set up this video in order to show you how I'm going to make this bowl. What I'm going to be making is a large bowl that's 12 inches wide. It's going to be at least 12 inches wide, probably maybe 13 inches wide and about 6 inches tall. And then I'm going to carve it. So the first try I made, I had a big wobble in it and I didn't like the wobble. And rather than fight the wobble and try and repair it, I just gave up. I reclaimed the clay and tried the bowl a second time, and the walls collapsed on me. So this is my third try at making this bowl now. I've made hundreds of these bowls, and I don't know why I'm struggling so much today. And I know through my experience in pottery that there are just some days your hands work and some days your hands don't. So I'm giving this a third try. And if it flops or fails, I'm going to post it anyway, because we always seem to post our successes, but we don't post our failures because we don't want to look bad. But truth be known, pottery, making pots, doesn't always go the way we intend. And I do believe, as I said, there are just some days things go right and some days things go wrong. And often when I'm having trouble and I'm struggling, I just walk away from my pottery for an hour or 2 hours. And I find that when I come back, whatever was bothering me or whatever was throwing me off seems to work itself out, and I get back into making good pots. So what I'm doing here, and the other ones were also a little long-winded, which anybody who follows me knows that I can get long-winded. So if you're watching, you probably know how to make a pot, and I'm not going to get as technical. So I'll just tell you what I'm doing as I go through doing it, and I won't stop to give a detailed description. But right now, I'm just using my fingers in tandem with my other hand to create the create the floor of this pot. And even though I've been throwing pots for over 15 years, I still need to measure the bottom. Okay, I've gone down too far, so I'm just going to take a little bit of the clay on the inside and force that down and create a bottom. The inside opening is only about that big right now, so it's not that hard. So now I've got about 6 or 7 centimeters, which is what I want. So I'm just going to drag out and create the floor of this pot. This pot is going to have a flat bottom. And then I curl my fingers under, and now in same one move, all I'm going to do now is just lift this donut of clay up and thin out my pot. Thin out the walls. And then I'll get my sponge, and I will just take care of the top of this pot, this rim. Smooth it out a little bit. I have a little bump in it right here. So let's just see if I can work that out as I progress through the pot. It could be an air bubble, so I think what I'm going to do is just kind of poke it right now and see if that releases whatever it is that's causing. That seems to feel a little better. But it'll poke its head up again. All right. So right now I'm just going to flatten out the bottom of this pot. And I'll check it again last time to make sure I've got enough clay down there, and I do. I have lots of clay. So I'm really happy with the thickness of the bottom of this pot. So my pot is going to have a flat bottom, and then I'm going to do a gentle slope up and then bring the walls up. So right now, all I need to do is just thin out the walls. and make them an even thickness. Now, I seem to have picked up a lot of slop, so I'll just get rid of that and go back. Okay. I feel that blip on the rim again. I have an uneven rim, so something's gone astray or awry here. I've lost the center. I'm just going to compress this a little bit. Anyway. Okay, here we go. I don't want the water to pool in the bottom of my pot. It will weaken the pot, and I just take a few drops of water. I've got enough slip on my hands that it will also help lubricate the side of the pot. I don't want to add too much water. Because I'm making a large piece, the water will compromise the strength of the walls. So what I'm going to do now is just take some of this clay in the bottom, and I'm just going to lift it up and start to thin out the walls. And as I do, I'm going to expand out a little bit. Not a lot, a little bit. So you'll see this pot begin to widen, but not too much. If I take it out too wide, then I won't be able to make my walls higher or longer or wider. Because in a bowl, height becomes width, if you know what I mean. Okay, so we'll just lubricate again. Lubricate the inside. And I'm going to grab, you'll see down here, and you'll see the bulge I'm going to create by pushing in. My left hand is stable inside the pot. My right hand is going to push in, and then I'm going to take that clay, and you're going to see the bulge move up the pot. It took me a long time as a beginner potter to figure out how to do that. And I just couldn't understand it. But once I got it and understood it, it was a eureka moment. Now I'm not even concentrating at all on the clay. I'm only looking at my fingers and making sure that they stay the same width. And that way I keep strength in the side of my pot. And that's where I went wrong in the last one that I made. I allowed the bottom to get too thin, and then it couldn't support the weight of the top of the pot. So just tidy up as you go along a little bit of housekeeping, get the extra moisture out of the bottom of my pot. Okay, so I still need to make these walls thinner. I'm going to end up carving these walls after it becomes leather hard, and I just trim the foot and thin out the walls to the thickness that I need, and then I will carve it. Okay, I'm going to do again. I got a lot of clay down here still, so I'm going to try and move this clay from here and move it up into the pot. And I'm also going to thicken out the bottom a little bit. And again, I'm concentrating on my hands and not really paying too much attention to the clay. The clay just moves through my fingers. And as I do, I'm just widening the pot a little bit. And then I start to release the pressure as I get closer to the top. I don't want to make the top too thin because it will thin out as I expand it. Okay. Doing pretty well here. I think I'm on my last pull. I think I can handle one more. Lubricate the outside. If I hit a dry patch, it's going to throw my pot off center. My fingers will catch on it. Again on the inside. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to widen out the bottom and start to create the curve on the inside of my pot, grabbing that extra clay. Join up my two hands for stability. Okay. See a little bulge down here. I'm going to go take care of that right now. I'll get my wooden rib and I'm going to push it back in. That will give stability back to my wall. Okay. Alrighty. So now I'm just going to test for the thickness. I could probably thin it out a little bit more, but I think that will happen naturally as I expand the pot out. So I think my walls are as thick as I need them to be. I can probably thin this out a little bit and bring that clay up the pot. So now I'm going to tidy up. I probably won't be adding any more water to this pot, because now it's all about shaping the. So I have learned that, I'm not very good at it yet, even after all this time. Let me just get rid of that bulge. That you don't really worry about the outside of the pot right now. My concentration is going to move to the inside of the pot. The outside I can trim away, but what you want to do now is create the beautiful curve on the inside of the pot. And I have this wooden rib, and what I'm going to do is go into the bottom now, and I'm going to create the opposite effect. Right now it's going like that, and I want it to go like that. So we need to round out the inside, but again, I'm not worrying about what it looks like on the inside. I've got to now concentrate on the inside. So I'm holding my rib like this, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure, and I'm going to move this rib up the pot and start to create the inside shape hopefully without compromising. My hand sits on the outside across from where the rib is, and it supports the wall. Otherwise, my wall could collapse. And I'm going to go very, very slowly as I move up this pot. Again, I'm concentrating on my hands. A bit of a wobble. And we should be okay. I'm going to go back to the outside. I should be able to. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to widen the rim a little bit, giving stability to the outside of the pot. And I'm really pushing quite hard with this finger, as you can see, to widen out the rim. And I'm going to go back with my rib, and I'm going to do it even more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this with the rib, and I'm going to push it out and widen this rim. And we're almost done. Funny enough. I don't want to overwork this bowl. Got a nice curve on the inside. So now I'm just going to work on the outside. I'm going to push out that rim. And then I'll just slowly go down the inside of this pot. Again, I'm supporting with my left hand, as my right hand is doing all the work. I have a nice curve on the inside of this pot. but it's not as wide as I want it. Right now with a real ruler, it is 12 inches, and with my shrink ruler, I don't know, I'm sorry that it's so dirty, but I use the shrink ruler. And if I were to leave it now, it would only be 10.5 inches wide and 6 inches tall, but I want it to be at least 12 inches wide. So I've got to get this bowl to come out a little bit. Even though I'm using the rib on the outside, funny enough, it's still the inside of this bowl that I'm concentrating on with my fingers. Also hoping to get this little wobble out that I've created, but it's not, there's no wobble when the pot isn't moving. So again, start at the bottom, support, compress, and I move my hand slowly up the pot. Okay. I'm now at 11 inches, so we want it to come out 1 more inch at least. So what I'm going to do now is just take my rib and I'm going to stretch the rim. And then I'll just slowly move my rib down to create that lovely curve on the inside. And even though, like I said, it looks like I'm concentrating on what's going on the outside, I'm really not. I just have my rib on the outside because it gives me better support. But I really am concentrating on my left hand and the inside curve. Okay. Measure it 1 more time. I'm 11.5 inches. I'm going to give it just 1 more pass. Bit of a wobble, but I'm not really going to concern myself about that because I don't think it's going to have an adverse effect on the quality of this pot. Right now I just want to concentrate on the inside. Going to be. Take my chamois. Just going to run it on the rim and hold the rim. And I make sure that I just hold my hands really still. I feel that. Remember when that little piece that I did at the beginning on the rim? It's right here. You know what? I'm just going to leave it. I don't think it's going to affect my pot at all. just going in now, and I'm going to compress the bottom because I can do that now quite easily. And what I'm going to do is I just do a little signature swirl in the bottom of these pots. So I'll just do that now. And that's it. My pot is finished. So I will leave it to dry overnight, and then tomorrow I will trim it and I will carve it. So thank you all very much for watching, and enjoy your day.